I became pregnant at the age of 39, and my husband uttered an unthinkable statement. Yikes. Seriously, you're expecting a child? That's crazy. Let's get a divorce. I don't want to deal with a troublesome child born at an older age. Farewell. I felt utterly despairing. We had spent 10 years together, but there was no longer any emotional connection between us. My only ray of hope resided in the life growing within me. I was determined to do whatever it took to ensure our child's happiness, even if I had to go through it alone. I vowed to raise our child with boundless love and care. 20 years have passed since then. When my child reached adulthood, I unexpectedly encountered my ex-husband. He was accompanied by a woman who appeared much younger and exceptionally beautiful. He glanced at our adult son's face and then at mine, remarking, "Wow, really did have a child. That's quite surprising. Well, it seems he's doing well, but does he have any disabilities? After all, you're still working as a caregiver, right? How pitiful." His hurtful, unchanging abusive comments welled up my anger. But before I could slap him, I noticed the woman beside him turning pale. "Shut up. Stop talking now. Do you not know who he is?" I explained in frustration. "Huh. No," she replied. "My name is Mia. I'm a single mother of my son. Before my marriage, I had one simple dream, to have a happy family with a loving husband and children, perhaps two. I didn't wish for anything extravagant. I had led a fairly ordinary life, raised by my parents alongside my two older sisters. I didn't long for much. I simply yearned for the kind of happiness that comes naturally to women. My husband and I both tied the knot at the age of 29 following an office romance that led to his proposal. I was the more serious and stubborn one, while he was carefree and spontaneous. Despite our seemingly mismatched personalities, his spontaneity had been quite appealing to me at the time. He possessed qualities I lacked, and I was growing anxious about approaching my 30s. From meeting each other's families to the wedding and honeymoon, our early days together seemed picture perfect. I had been confident that my dream would come true. But reality had different plans. "Are you pregnant yet?" he asked me in our bedroom a few years into our marriage, which stung my heart. We had always been open to having children from the beginning. It wasn't just my dream. He too had been eager to start a family as soon as possible. However, when he did return home, his unexpected question puzzled me further. "Are you seriously considering going through with it?" "What are you talking about? Are you referring to our baby?" I responded, taken aback. "Take it back. I mean, the one in your stomach. It's going to cost us to have this child." His response was firm. "Of course. I'm going to keep it. It's been my dream despite his concerns about my age." I defended my choice. "I may not be young, but it's becoming more common to have a baby at 39 nowadays. My doctor even says there's no problem so far." However, his insinuations about potential future problems and the term abnormality deeply hurt me. I couldn't fathom his choice of words, especially when discussing children with disabilities. I responded sternly, emphasizing that we cannot choose what kind of child will be born and that I would love our child regardless. His retort about my virtue and his unwillingness to be involved with the baby left me in disbelief. It seemed like he viewed children as tools and questioned the very essence of parenthood. I couldn't contain my anger. But before I could react, he dropped a bombshell. "If it comes to this, there's only a divorce left. I've been really sick and tired of you." When you couldn't get pregnant, you were depressed. How can you expect me to stay married to an old woman who finally got pregnant? Do you really mean it? I asked with incredulity. I sure do, he replied coldly. Let's go see a lawyer now if you want. But I never agreed to alimony. I suffered for 10 years with your infertility. I should be the one who's compensated. You're such a... I was beyond disgusted and rendered speechless. Parting ways with a husband like him seemed like a wise decision for the sake of my unborn child. A month after discovering my pregnancy, we filed for divorce. I didn't ask him for a single cent, as he wished. In return, I secured an agreement that he would never have any contact with our child. He laughed and eagerly accepted these terms. However, I never wanted my child to know that their father had been so awful. Following our separation, I moved back to my parents' house. Both of my parents, well over 70 years old, welcomed me back with open arms. After enduring such a terrible ordeal, their warmth brought tears to my eyes as I clung to them, recounting the horrors I had experienced. Despite the pain, I promised myself to be strong. It was my duty as a mother. I vowed that no matter the circumstances surrounding my child's birth, we would find happiness together. Time passed, and 20 years after the divorce, my son, Lily, grew up without a hitch. John's concerns had been unfounded. Lily was born in perfect health. In fact, he exceeded my expectations academically and athletically. What impressed me most was his humility. He never let his accomplishments go to his head. I cherished this quality, knowing that character mattered more than ability in terms of education. He considered college, but his passion led him to opt for the workforce instead. While it disappointed me slightly, I decided to silently support his choices. Lily was determined, and I respected his independence. I told myself that if he ever faced challenges, I'd be there to catch him, although he had never needed that in the past. 2 years after he began working, we were out shopping together. My 20-year-old son was all grown up, and he intended to buy me a birthday present. His words touched my heart deeply, and I couldn't help but shed tears. I knew that growing up in a single-parent household must have come with its own difficulties, but he had grown up to be a genuinely happy and caring young man. His presence was the greatest gift of all. Suddenly, an unexpected voice pierced the moment. I turned to see John, still wearing that same smug smile after 20 years. Beside him was a young woman I didn't recognize. My initial shock turned into a mix of emotions. "You little bastard is still alive and well," I muttered under my breath, shivers running down my spine. As soon as he saw Lily's face, John retorted cheerfully, "You haven't changed a bit. You haven't seen me in 20 years. Why can't you try to be friendlier?" I replied sharply, "Which is why I left you." "I have no recollection of being left by you. I was the one who gave up on you. That's why I never reached out to you in 20 years. John's arrogance remained unchanged. That's what's so dreary about you. Well, I changed a lot since then. I have a new wife and a kid who's about to start college. You have a very young wife. Wonder how you fooled her." I tried to dismiss the conversation. "Don't be jealous. Mia. Can't help it. I'm popular, right? My wife Maya and I got married when she was 25. It was right after our divorce was finalized, so 19 years ago. I'm still driving at night. I couldn't bear to hear any more of his boastful and vulgar remarks. I don't want to know such nasty things, remember. Whatever. Not my business. You've been irrelevant to us anyway," I replied firmly. John persisted, seemingly unrelenting. "Hey, don't be like that. I do sympathize with you. It must have been hard to raise him on your own. On top of it, that kid is a failure. Does he still need nursing? Or can he at least change his own diapers?" My patience was wearing thin, and I felt the urge to lash out at him. Lily, however, immediately intervened, maintaining his composure. "Calm down, Mom. Don't take anything this guy says seriously. As you said, we have nothing to do with him." John continued his verbal assault, mocking Lily's abilities. "Oh, with failure, can't speak properly, can't you? Who told you to say things like that? Your doctor. Maybe. Or your nurse? Don't bother us anymore, and don't you dare come close to my mom. If you ever bring any harm to her, there will be consequences," John scoffed, belittling Lily. Lily stood his ground and calmly revealed his profession. "I'm a police officer." This revelation seemed to agitate John, who appeared surprised by the unexpected twist. Lily had chosen to enter the police academy right after high school, driven by a desire to help people. He had successfully graduated and was currently serving at the local precinct. John's expression remained puzzled, but what shocked him even more was the reaction of the woman beside him, Maya. Previously silent, she now pointed her trembling finger at Lily, her expression one of disbelief. "Police officer? It can't be. Are you? My father's? What the hell are you saying? Honey, this bastard sure can't be connected to your father. You're in trouble. Don't cross him. You could even lose your job. Calm down. Honey." She forcefully pulled John away from Lily and me, and they walked off, leaving us behind. John's confused expression lingered in my mind, and I was equally baffled by the unexpected turn of events. I turned to Lily, seeking answers. "What's going on?" "Lily? Do you know that woman?" Lily shook his head. "I don't know. She mentioned her father." Maybe she meant the David. The truth of the matter only became clear a week later when I received a call from John. The first contact in 20 years. Back then, cell phones were just becoming popular, and the only thing I hadn't changed was my number. "Please, Mia, let me speak to my son," John implored, his voice filled with desperation. I couldn't comprehend his sudden interest after all this time. "What's going on? What do you want from him after all this time?" John's voice trembled as he continued his desperate plea. He explained that he was about to lose his job and revealed that Maya's father, his current wife's father, had once been a prominent police officer, even known as the David in the police force. It turned out that Lily had come to the attention of this former David due to his exceptional work, and they had developed a close relationship. Lily had earned recognition for capturing an arsonist soon after joining the force, making him a well-known local police officer. And it was this accomplishment that had caught the eye of John's father-in-law. According to John, the former David had grand plans to arrange a marriage for Lily, hoping to make him his son-in-law due to his strong affection for him. The former David had a college-aged granddaughter, and it was no secret that he believed Lily would be the perfect match for her. John continued, "He found out that I dumped you guys 20 years ago from the incident the other day. He's outraged now. The old man is long retired, but he hasn't changed since his hardcore police days. I listened to his story, wondering what he was trying to achieve by involving Lily. I'm sorry to hear that. So what are you trying to achieve by talking to Lily? John's voice took on a pleading tone as he replied, I want him to talk to my father-in-law. I'm in a position to get a job from him, a job with his security company. You know, cops have strong connections to each other. If I get on his bad side, I'll lose my job, John lamented. I responded, holding him accountable for his actions. That's your own doing, isn't it? That's how little trust he had in you. If you had been recognized as a decent person from the beginning, your son's story wouldn't have jeopardized your job. John seemed to realize the gravity of his actions. Don't say that. My wife is also very upset after she found out about Lily. She asked me how I could behave like that toward my son. I pointed out the wisdom in her reaction. She's making a wise decision because if you could treat Lily like that, you might eventually do the same to her child. What goes around comes around. Why don't you just gracefully remove yourself from the equation? John made a somewhat sarcastic remark, asking if he could live with us. Hey, if that happens, would you mind if I live with you at your place? I can't live alone. It's too lonely to be alone in my old age. I'll take good care of Lily, too. I firmly declined his request. Too bad, he will be fine without you. With that, I ended the call and turned off my phone, determined to ignore his future attempts to contact me. Jonathan caused Lily and me a great deal of pain in the past, and it was only fair that he faced the consequences of his actions. Even if his own family had cast him aside, we had no intention of coming to his rescue. I was confident that my son wouldn't want to help someone like him either. In time, I heard rumors that John had ended up on the streets, abandoned by his wife as well. It was clear that the former David had exercised his influence, and though Lily didn't disclose all the details, he assured me there was no need to worry. Approaching the age of 60, John had lost his job and his family. It was too late for him to regret not embracing my pregnancy with happiness. Back then, Lily and I were content with our lives, finding our own brand of happiness. My proud son continued to excel in his job, serving both people and society to the best of his ability.